Welcome, everyone. You are listening to 27 Degrees SAG, the Galactic Center. I'm your host, Kimla Lowe. I'm an astrologer and a psychic medium, feng shui consultant. I also do resonance healing with light, and I'm here to tell you about an absolute fabulous guest that we have for this particular hour. Come along with us. And please, if you would like to join our super chat room, we would love to welcome you. And also, we'd love to answer any questions that you may have. We have this wonderful guest. Her name is Jaide Izon, and I have to read you this wonderful synopsis of everything she does. And I want you to really pay attention because there's so many things in here, and she does this wonderful blend, this alchemy of things that she is certified in to present her offerings for humanity. So, for instance, she is an experienced wellness speaker, soul embodiment guide, and soon to be published author. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, NLP, chakra therapist, meditation teacher, and she also facilitates workshops, retreats, and wellness programs aimed to assist others in feeling safe to expand into their highest embodied wellness through shadow work, self love, and empowerment. She also uses music, and she literally was into hip hop, and she uses all these wonderful talents in this one wonderful human being. And tonight, we are here. Our topic tonight is going to be demystifying the chakras. Put your hands together and welcome Jaide Izon. Hello, Jaide.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Kimla, and for the beautiful introduction.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on all the way from Canada. And yeah, that is so nice that we get to have all of this international flavor. Of course, the moon is in Sagittarius tonight. So we are going to be having all of this international flair. And being the little astrologer I am so excited to see that you have this wonderful, and we were talking about your tool belt and how vast it is. And I cannot wait to hear how your spiritual journey appeared to you and how you started on this.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about how I started. I feel
Yeah.
that it's important to reflect back into childhood for me. I remember from a very early age being homesick for a place that I couldn't name. I remember looking up in the sky and feeling just that deep sense of longing. And I remember looking around at all the neighborhood kids and everybody and thinking, oh my goodness, why is everyone here so mean and just so chaotic and crazy? And I just didn't really understand a lot of the dynamics. And it took me a little bit of time to adjust. Um, I was the kid who could see the weird things. And, I remember asking my mom, what are those colors around you at bedtime? What are you talking about? Well, the colors, you've got green around you, and Joe has red around him. And, you know, of course, this was at a time where these things weren't overly understood or welcomed. So, my mom's friend smacks, oh my gosh, your kid's a freak. She can see auras. What's an aura? So, just all these little placed hints around that really pulled me into it. I was a trauma survivor of long term sexual abuse. And like that, and like many, I feel that that made my body a very unsafe place to feel. So, a very unsafe place to and through that, and many other people relate to this space of being in the clouds all the time, being shoved up into sort of the upper realms. So it was really easy for me to pop out of my body when I was trying to fall asleep. I try to fall asleep and, come out of my body a little bit. And I was always somewhere else, always somewhere else because I didn't really feel attached to my body. So it was a lot easier for me to feel unattached to my body. And I started recognizing through conversations with other people, conversations with other kids, that it was not like the other kids. And I began to really quickly start to hide those things as well. And they did frighten me because growing up as well, there was a lot of religious influence, and those things were painted in a light that was scary and hushed and put aside. So I actually really started out feeling quite scared and not fascinated by any of it. It felt like it was something that was happening to me, not through me, quite often. And that went well into my teenage years through channeling, through all sorts of different experiences that just were very uncomfortable for me and very uncomfortable and made it very hard for me to feel like I had a place to fit in, to sit and to feel. I didn't understand. I didn't have mentorship. Um, so what catapulted me really onto bridging that space is I spent a really long time when I was in the music industry actually just trying to push away all things spirit. I had a couple incidences that happened that, um, you know, it was kind of a choice for me, either dive into it or dive away from it. And I was afraid, so I dove away from it. And that was part of the journey that I needed to go through. Um, yeah, so I spent 5 years really trying to create a split between me and spirit, which, doesn't work, as we all know, and really trying to just chop off a piece of me. So I finally got to a point where spirit does what it does. When you don't listen to a whisper, it starts to yell. And spirit had a way of yelling in 2016 where I turned around, looked around at everything, and just realized that it wasn't suitable. I had my son, and that initiation from maiden to mother was very painful, but so transformative. And the inspiration and the anchor into me choosing to bridge all these pieces together so I could feel healed and whole, so I could bring that medicine to healing and making sure that I was raising my son with that love and that authenticity. Um, and then I spent all of those next years, this last 7, 8 years, diving into all the places that I was too afraid to look at and found nothing but gifts, and, obviously it was hard, but the most worthwhile hard thing I've ever done.
Right. Oh, I hear you. I hear you there. Growing up like that, the trust is so hard. It's just so hard. It's almost like you're always either looking over your shoulder or thinking, well, when is this relationship going to come to an end? And not really feeling safe enough to really give of your entire self because you had to protect what little pieces you had left. And the soul retrieval is also such a great tool for trauma. And because, yes, we do tend to want to break off pieces sometimes that are so injured that we don't want to even look at. And those are the little things in life that can make all the difference in the world so that you're not going through life on 3 flat tires, so that you have a nice smooth ride because there's a lot of bumps along the way, believe you me. But, that sounds pretty good, and sometimes it's funny, but children that come into our lives are the best healing experiences we have. And it is a way because your soul tribe knows that you're in trouble, knows that they need to get in there and fly with you and, have a wingman when, when you don't even know you need a wingman. So, yeah, I can totally see that path happening to a lot of people and a lot of my clients as well. Yeah.
It was beautiful, honestly. It was such a beautiful initiation looking back on everything, and I'm so grateful for all of it, right? Because I had been going through all these initiations and having no idea how to hold them, what to do with them, and too really afraid and feeling that isolation and disconnection to actually dive into what that all meant. And now, it is the most fascinating and inspiring pieces. The shadow work and looking into all those places, I understand this disconnect and the societal impact that's really happened to disconnect people from themselves and disconnect people from each other and make the vulnerability and those hard things even harder and fearful to look at. We've really
Right.
thrived in a society that said, well, we're going to just shift you over. And thrive is the wrong word. We've really been forced to survive in a society that's really
Right.
shifted people into disconnecting those pieces and not wanting to look at them because we haven't valued them. We haven't valued mental health. We haven't valued emotional well being. We haven't valued spirit. And without that value, how can those who are experiencing spirit in different levels anchor into that with safety and security without mentorship? So it's all in all ended up putting me onto that path of being able to hold that container for others and want to show up in a way that says no, self-care has to come first. Self-love is the pinnacle and the important piece of this, and
Very
forgiveness, passion, and looking at all these places is really the pivotal point where we can actually start to heal and shift the world through our individual vibrations one at a time.
right, right. And so, do you start out with your services? Do you start out with the hypnotizing and going through that, or how do you start out first?
No, actually, I do an analysis on people. I curated a bunch of questions based on the knowledge that I've taken in over the years, and also seeing and experiencing people from my own hypervigilant perspective. And
Oh,
I curated, a list of questions that really gets into where the imbalances are in the chakra system, and where they're experiencing the heightened spaces of those imbalances. And then we kind of go in from there and target, okay, so what is it that we need to look at first? And how can we start healing the root spaces and bringing love to those places? And if that's hypnotherapy, it's hypnotherapy. But there are many other modalities that I use and utilize to work through those spaces: meditation, soul journeys, soul retrieval, and also healing through light. And I love the work that shows up because the right medicine shows up for the right people, and they usually know and are guided to what it is that they actually need. And I work inside that container.
wow, that's really special. So we're here tonight to demystify the chakras. So let's take it away. I want to hear, your view, and I want to take a tour through the chakras. And I think everybody that's listening, hello, Bill, hello, Ivy. And I know Carla's listening. I know Sue is listening. Take us through the chakras and what are they and why are they important?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, isn't that a big question? Hey. So, I mean, we have this system. This system, and I like to look at the chakras as an interfacing system, that really bridges the non physical and the physical. Okay. We have this energetic system inside of us. It's on that rainbow spectrum, which is really beautiful. And each of those chakras hold its own specific density of sound and light. And each one of those specific chakras also within it hold those different unique medicines and containers that relate into us anatomically, relate into us emotionally and mentally, and therefore impact us spiritually. So when we have, say, for example, the root chakra, this is connected into your fight, flight, freeze system, right? This is connected into your support, your survival, your safety, right? Being held by the Mother Earth. If we do not feel supported, we do not feel safe, and we're constantly running around in that fight, flight, freeze system in a reactive state, how is it that we're able to receive? And how is it that we're able to move up into that space of the sacral center, which is our emotional wellness? If you don't feel safe and supported, how do you feel emotionally well? And
Where are these located? Where are
the
these?
located. Yes. Okay. So, for I guess we'll dilate even back to that. Yes. So, in the soft spot of the perineum, it's actually a lot of people think it's right at the base of the spine, but it's actually in the soft spot of the perineum, where our root chakra is located. And then moving up into Svadhisthana, which is our sacral center. That is located where in females in the womb space, but just 2 inches below the navel, and then about 2 inches in. So in tied a lot into our reproductive system, but so is the root chakra. Everything is connected, which is very interesting. And then moving up into the solar plexus or Manipura, this is where it's connected directly into our vagus nerve, and into our digestive system. So 2 inches above the navel and 2 inches inside as well, connected into the stomach. And, we talk about things, we automatically know these things too. It's hard to digest. We say things like that, oh, I'm having a hard time digesting this when we're talking about emotional things. And
Right.
this here in our solar plexus is also what affects our motivation, our willpower, our capacity to take action in our life, right? And when something's hard to digest, it sort of impacts that space and then makes the emotional waters a little bit, crazy as well, which is in the sacral center. And then we have our heart, which is located, some people say directly in the heart, some people say it's over a little bit. So it really just depends on what system that you're using and what aligns with you. There are different systems, and depending on where you are in your vibrational world, I do believe that it depends on how you're connected into those systems. And we have the higher heart as well, which is really coming online and activating quite a bit for a lot of people. And it's really neat to see. Then we also have our throat chakra, which is located inside the throat, as well as it actually connects up into the inner ears and the crystals in the inner ears, which is really neat. We have these little crystals, these shards that actually are responsible for our equilibrium and our balance. And those are connected into there as well. And it also connects into our third eye, ajna, which is in the pineal and pituitary gland. And then our crown chakra, which is located at the soft spot in the top of the head. Everybody, if you just feel at the very top of your head, you still have that little spot where that's really soft when you're a baby and you come out. Well, that's the spot where the crown chakra is. And babies are that's still so soft. They're so really wide open and really connected into that stream of consciousness and really connected into source energy. And it's so neat that takes some time to close up. And then we get to have to work with it and stay working with it in order to keep that space nice and flowing and open. If that answers the questions about all of the anatomy part of things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So when we have all of this inside of us,
Mhm.
there are sensitives like yourself that can actually see the chakra system in people. Is that what one of your gifts are?
I can see, and sometimes it's not so much like a physical seeing all the time as it is just like a sensation or a download and a vision. I am definitely more clairsentient than I am visual, but I am very highly visual as well. So it really just depends the person. Part of my gifts allow me to jump into other people's bubbles a little bit and be able to relate the information in the way that is necessary for them, because the way that I may communicate may not always be the way that it needs to be heard. So, yeah, if somebody relates more to visuals, then the visuals will come through. If somebody is more audible, then it'll come through more audio. I can paint the pictures. And that's definitely a benefit when you're trying to communicate and bring the things that are up here through here and into the space that it's going to land in their body.
And one thing that I really liked what you were describing is how they were all connected. And this makes up our energy system. And also, tell me a little bit about what do we do if we've got heartache or our heart's been broken or violated, or, even if we've had like a heart surgery. Sometimes we are really not connected to the heart. It takes us a while to get that going again. What do you suggest people do in that kind of a case?
Well, I think it's really important to first point out the way that it all connects. So, we were talking about how all of those things vibrate and they impact. When one is impacted, all of them are impacted. But what's really neat about our chakra system, if we're working in the seven chakra system, which most of the operate, like our planet is operating from that space right now, we have a very interesting parallel of we've all heard the saying, as above, so below, right? As within. And when we look at the chakra system, the heart is actually the center space of that. We have three above and we have three below when we're working in that system. And they're actually partnered in that way as well. So when the things are off in our emotional center and our safety, our security, our disempowerment, our fire, if it's too big or too small, then these impact the way that we express ourselves. They impact the clarity of how we can think and also how we can connect into our higher selves and our divinity. And when all of these spaces are impacted, then it does impact the heart. And most of us are operating from a space where we feel an imbalance inside of the heart because all of these other places are really deeply impacted, right? From the way that we're running our systems and the way the systems have actually run us. So my personal thing is like we live in a world where everything has an equal or opposite too. So if you're looking inside of the heart, grief breaks you open and shows you the capacity and the depth of your love. So when you're looking at grief, I really love to remind people that it's tricky and it's sticky when you're going through it, but that it is also a beautiful gift to be able to see the depth of how much you love, because you won't feel that grief. You won't feel that grief if you aren't a very loving human being.
Yeah.
And, of course, not to bypass the experience of grief. So there's real things that have to be worked in there. The heart has its own neurons and its own memory that is like that is similar to the brain. So it actually feels independently. And it's really important because we store a lot of our experiences those in our heart as well. So forgiveness and compassion and practicing that on a regular basis, looking at how do you give to the world?
Hmm.
Do you receive? Are you capable of receiving? Is that loop between giving and receiving in balance? Is it in flow? Are you
Hmm.
over giving and feeling disappointed through those expectations? When we close our eyes and we think about giving from an empty cup, it feels often bitter or resentful. But when we give to ourselves, when we receive, then it impacts and expands ourselves to be able to give from that same very thing with joy and with love. Everything depends on our heart centered joy and embodying what that really feels like so we can create, right? And if we're struggling with grief, then it's really important to be able to sit with that and love it for what it is. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to need to sit with that. It's okay to cry. It is okay to feel heartbroken and not try to fix it in the moment. Sometimes we actually just need to feel and alchemize these things and
Right.
somatically release them and listen to what the body's wisdom says
Hmm.
to move that energy before we can start bringing band-aids and forgiveness and compassion and care to the thing. The best way to care for yourself in those moments is literally to just ask yourself, what do I need right now? Screaming, dancing, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
Honor your body's wisdom and be in integrity with that. It's okay to sit with the pain.
Right. Right. And there's a lot of mixture going on there as well. I mean, a lot of grieving, a lot of missing, a lot of loving, a lot of anger, a lot of, you know, a lot of resentment, like you were saying. you know, sometimes, you experience it all within a very short period of time. And you're thinking, what? I must be off track. I must be just totally losing it. One minute I'm crying, they're not here. And the next minute I'm slamming doors and so angry and, wishing I could go time travel back and do things over. And a lot of times, you go into the victim role, and all of these play, in it's such a intricate orchestra. Um, and the chakras do vibrate, as everything is energy, do vibrate. They hold this particular light of information coming through your body. And with any type of light comes a color, the color vibratory rate, and also the sound, the pitch, the which you are a musician, you're into the music industry. So do you use a tuning fork or anything to kind of help heal or unblock certain areas in the chakras?
Yeah, so I guess, well, first of all, yes, I do a lot of I like to sing. I actually channel in sounds and things like that that are there to help move energy, and then I use different instruments as well to help move that energy if we're in session together. So that's great, and I think chanting and binaural beats are really amazing for those things as well. And binaural beats are super amazing in terms of isochronic tones and being able to actually get ourselves into brain wave states of receiving, and then also the sound healing through sound bowls and tuning forks and all those spaces. They're all beautiful and helpful to move that energy. I don't really think that chakras are blocked or unblocked. I just feel that they're balanced or imbalanced, and that's in excess or in deficiencies of energy. And I get a lot of people that come in, everything is blocked, and you're like, it's just sticky. It's not flowing the way that it needs to. Because I feel like the word block brings like people into this space of like they think they're hitting a wall, but it's just about swinging the pendulum in a different way, maybe just bringing it back into a nice flow instead of it being hanging out, predetermined on one space or one flow.
Right. So many people, they always say, I want to open up my third eye. I want my third eye opened. What can I do to open up my third eye? Am I brushing my teeth with the right toothpaste or, you know, um, and all of this. And, what's your take on all of that when somebody comes to you and says, I need help opening my third eye?
Mm. Yeah, so I actually had a discussion about this recently through a live, and it's funny that this does get brought up a lot.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody pretty much the same thing. Your third eye is alive and well. You just don't know how to access the messages, unfortunately, because if your emotional center and you are not taking care of your emotional center, then there is a lack of clarity, because our third eye isn't just about our gifts. It's about how we organize our thoughts. It's how we focus, and we're able to distinguish what's coming in and make those messages and discern them away from fear, and discern them in love, and discern them with clarity. If you don't know and can't hold your own energy and the containership of your own energy and know that with a bit more certainty, I am that I am, then how is it that you're supposed to distinguish these gifts that are coming through and these visions that are coming through? You're going to question them. They're not going to feel clear. You're not really going to be able to hear, feel, and see those messages with certainty and empowerment, right? So, for me, most people do have an open third eye. They just have no idea how to distinguish their own intuition. They have no idea how to connect into it because they don't know how to discern their own things. So for me, I'm like, hey, you want to hear those messages better? You want to get into that connection and into that spirit? One, you got to start taking care of your vessel. You got to start taking care of your nervous system and regulating that. So when those downloads come in, they're coming in and you can hold them. And two, you got to start learning how to trust and live in an integrity to yourself. Because if you're constantly in a space where you're not listening to yourself, you're not listening to your body's wisdom, you're not listening to those little things, it's small acts of betrayal. And you're conditioning yourself to say, I don't trust myself. So when those messages come through, you're not going to trust them. You're not going to understand them. You're not going to know them. So
Right.
it is, a certain understanding of being able to care for that space.
Right. Right. So it's just a matter of awareness and education about this particular system and how it really works. And a lot of times I really feel as though a lot of my clients are just completely lost as far as shadow work. And what do we do? How do we tame the beast? How do we get in touch and ride the tiger? And how do we bring it all together? To have a beautiful tai chi within ourselves, and really get the value, get the trust, get that cohesive part of being in the human experience.
Yeah, I love the way that you said that. Honestly, it is an experience. You are an experience, you know. And I feel like
Everybody is, yeah,
you
exactly.
are.
You are.
You
Yes,
are.
you as a being on the planet, you're having an experience. You are an experience. You're receiving energy back and forth. So let's put a definition on shadow work.
Okay. Yeah, so shadow work to me is being able to look into those spaces that feel uncomfortable and bring the things that we may be unaware of, the subconscious mechanisms, to the forefront in the conscious mind so that we can witness them and learn how to discern what's working for us and what isn't. It's being able to acknowledge what it is that is operating and running us that may not actually be in our highest service, and being able to take a look at all of those spaces that we may be afraid of or uncomfortable with, and learning how to dance with them with a little more grace, because I get it, it is scary, it can be scary, to
Yeah.
look at all those things, those perceived imperfections and the mistakes and all the things that do make us human. And to be able to find gold in those experiences, it can be really tricky. It's hard to look and witness and see, and be accountable for those spaces, because sometimes that means admitting that, hey, we actually aren't perfect. We'd like to believe that we're perfect, but we're not, and that's the beauty of our experience and being an experience, is that
Mhm.
we get to learn through contrast, through polarity. So um, shadow work is really being able to look at all those places and bring love to it, and that's really what I feel is what shadow work is. Learning to love all parts of ourselves, because you are whole, all of it. All of it makes you whole. It doesn't make you any less.
Mhm. So Ivy's in the chat room. She says, shadow work is so difficult for me. When anything arises, I really go dark, which I see how it affects the physical body. Grateful for my spiritual team. She also has a question and wondering, if you may, how are my chakras? Can you tune into Ivy at all and give her a little guidance there?
Okay. Give me a sec here. First of all, Ivy, do I have your permission to be in your field? That's okay.
I believe she asked you so.
That's true. Just feels like a good integrity check.
Right. Good for you.
Because we are on air, right? It's one
We
thing
are.
to just
We
like,
are.
do you want this privately? Do you want this publicly? Right? So that feels really important.
Yeah, she says, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, Ivy. Hmm. Yeah, okay. So the first thing that I'm seeing is definitely there's like a lot of like uncertainty, a lot of grief that's been kind of coming through, things that have been making you feel like you're brave, you really want to do the thing, but when it's there, it is really impacting your heart. It's really impacting how you feel capable to show up for yourself, really pulling on all of those wounds of worthiness and not enoughness. When it comes down to it, logically that these things are not true. You are very well aware, you're very well attuned, like you're well read, you understand, you've done your work, you've done a lot of this research, you are constantly working in these spaces, constantly working on yourself. But it's more so in the being, right? It's being safe in your body, it's being comfortable in your body, And these spaces of shadow work make you feel really emotionally unwell. I get like the feeling of almost like a nausea that sort of comes in, and it makes you feel like it's just very small. You're kind of pulling yourself in, protecting yourself, and that can be really, really difficult to navigate. Right, when you are wanting, you are willing, but in the thick of it, it does actually feel thick, like kind of moving through a sludge that's really, really difficult. Um, so what I would say is you're just like it's less to do with your chakras. Like what I'm seeing is the sacral center, right? And the sacral center there is just feeling a little bit like, how do I put, muddied? Is the best way to sort of say it? Like the water is feeling a little bit stagnant, having an inability to feel like you can really access your creativity with a good flow. Things it's just like either very, very big or very, very small. Like cracking the window open is a little bit difficult, and that's impacting the clarity and the focus and the organization. So it's coming almost in these waves that are going whoo, up and down and up and down, and that can feel really difficult to navigate. So what I would say is that it's okay to honor yourself. That's the really big thing that's coming through, is like acknowledge all of the work that you've done. Holy crap, have you ever done a lot of work? Like it's okay to relax. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to celebrate all of the things that you've done and just kind of give yourself a big hug. Let those things integrate. Let those things percolate. Let it actually in and receive it, because that's how we're actually going to create the space. The issue with shadow work and going in is a lot of people just continue going in the hole of shadow work, and they go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, but they don't actually apply the ointment to the wounds, right? They don't actually give it time to soothe what it is that they're pulling up. And you deserve to soothe what it is that you have pulling up, right? You deserve to like just feel that, sit in that, and receive that. And that's like the big thing, is your team is like, yes, coming around, like, oh my gosh, just have a bath and actually enjoy it. When you're taking this time for yourself, do it because you enjoy it, and leave the guilt and the shame away from it. Actually honor yourself, and when you're in that space, know that it is your divine right to be in that space and to love yourself through it.
Right, right. And do you feel like yoga and doing some of those postures and things really stimulate and help align those chakras?
Yeah, I think that different things work for different people. Yoga is really beautiful and is a really great way to do that. I also find that mudras are really amazing, like being able to connect certain energies. And qigong is also another really, really amazing thing. Yeah, anything that's really like shifting that energy and allowing you to intentionally move in flow, slow, and aligned, giving you that opportunity to actually feel your body and feel the energy as it flows through you. So there's many different beautiful practices that work in that way to align your chakras. And yes, ultimately anything that is encouraging slow, precise, particular movements and connecting into that space is beautiful. Yes, I'm a water sign, so the fixed and fluidity is hard to balance. You've really nailed what I have felt and deal with. Feeling so emotional just hearing you speak it out loud. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Ivy. I'm really glad that landed for you. And yeah, just water sign. I have a Scorpio moon. I know that's waterfall central. So actually, I like to tell people when they're crying, just please think of it as a sacred water practice. You wouldn't hold in any other fluid that's meant to come out of your body with shame. So just let it out and say, thank you. Get out of my body. I love you for what you did. Thank you for serving the purpose that you did. I love you. Goodbye.
I know sometimes you just gotta let go. You just
Oh, yeah.
gotta let go. We were I think we're the generation that is really kind of making our children aware that emotions are okay. Emotions are all of it. I mean, really, that's life. Emotions are life, and that we don't have to really hide them or sweep them or pretend there's something they're not. Or, if you don't want to do a sport activity, it's perfectly fine. Don't pretend like it isn't. And it kind of does away with a lot of tantrums. And the victimhood, I always I always brought it up with the children. Well, you were this and you were that, and I'd be oh no, you're gonna learn at a very early age to own the responsibility. You chose me as your mother. And they were just like, what was I thinking? And I said, nope, you chose me. So it's on you. Don't put it on me. So I never wanted this. Yeah. Uh-huh. So you teach children the responsibility that to get out, to not grow up in victimhood is, I think, what I'm trying to say is that this is a gift. Every day you get to unwrap and you get to enjoy it, whether you are feeling on top of the world, or perhaps you just want to sit and cry somewhere and really feel. Because I think humans in general are more sensitive with this big, huge push of the earth going now through the photon belt, where we're getting all this light in. We can feel more. The frequency is so high now. We can feel more. And we can see the unseen energy. And perhaps we can actually feel the disconnection of our bodies more. And we don't know what to do about that. And that makes us very sad. A lot of my clients carry around a sadness, and they try to cover it up. They'll be eating too much, drinking too much, shopping too much, putting themselves in debt too much, anything too much, just to try to, connect, right? And I love that you were just like, just sit and feel it, and we're not taught to do that. Cheer yourself up, get up. We're gonna switch it up, blah blah blah. It's a beautiful day, and all you feel like doing is sitting on the couch with a box of Kleenex and turning on a movie that enhances that feeling to come out. Yeah. So there's so many different ways and options to actually feel the disconnection we are all feeling. We're all feeling it, and number one is to talk about it. And that's why this platform's so nice, that we get to talk about it and we get to say, hey, not everyone is going to be happy-go-lucky. And and there's a reason for that, because a lot of people have come here on all different types of missions, and they have all their particular chart and their soul imprint is completely unique. And to be able to explore that, one wonderful tool is to explore your emotions. And especially for water signs, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Exploring your emotions is really important. Taking accountability and responsibility for our healing is also really important. And acknowledging that while it is okay to have a day where you just let it out and leave into it, that it's also really important to know what it is that actually cares for your soul, right? How are you nurturing your nervous system? What is it that your nervous system actually needs? And that's like the big piece, in demystifying the chakras and moving into these new vibrations. Right now, a lot of people are feeling incredibly angry, frustrated, confused, scared. And we have a media and a system that does perpetuate that fear really well. I mean, it's very well organized. It's a mass hypnosis that's been happening for a really long time, and we know it. But it's also been programming, and during the youngest years of our life, when our brain is very malleable to all of these experiences. it does, we do have to rewire that. We do have to take that space into our own hands. And through that, it is our chakra. Those chakras are being asked to be healed, right? And like things are merging together, things are shifting. But we have a lot of people that are still living in that state. And it's our, I feel that it's our responsibility for those that can feel, see, and hear, and navigate these waves. And before, a lot of the collective is doing that, to be able to be bridges, right? We need to bridge these gaps. We need to bridge these spaces that were once separate, right? Um, and honor those feelings as they come up. Whatever it is that needs to be felt, heal it, feel it, and release it, because it's making space for all of these really beautiful things that are coming in. Should you make the choice to want to continue bringing and calling that energy in, and that is this. I mean, while we have these inevitables, we also do have choice.
We do.
Plug this in here.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Nervous system. I love the fact about talking about, I guess she is going to plug. Okay, we're charging our chakras. um, we let's talk about that nervous system, because that is a whole network also, that kind of keeps our vessel in place. I have seen so many of my clients that we work on how to heal frayed ends of their nerves. And a lot of this comes into play when clients are feeling as though they have been diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and that they've got, fragments or frayed um, nerve endings that are happening within the body. And, I think it comes from a lot of different places, especially not only, the power towers that are around us, but also a lot of the foods that we're eating seems to be destroying us from the inside out. Did you feel that way too?
Well, so yeah, when we're talking about in terms of gut health and things like that, and relating those things into the chakras, we were talking about so the nervous system, right? We have our vagus nerve, and what's really neat is that each one of the chakras are placed along that nervous system, right?
Where's
Directly.
the vagus nerve?
The vagus nerve runs through your entire body. It runs through your entire body and reaches every nerve ending. It is the core space of your regulation. If your vagus nerve is fried, this causes all sorts of issues in all of your body, including autoimmune diseases, chronic inflammation, chronic pain. It directly connects into your gut health as well, where 90% of your serotonin is made. And for those of you who don't know what serotonin is, it is one of your primary happiness chemicals. And what is prescribed to you, say you have depression or anxiety, they will give you a serotonin inhibitor, where it will boost that for you. But the foods that you're eating directly contribute to that gut health and that serotonin production. So if you aren't eating foods that are actually good for your gut biomes, you create an inability to process those foods and create that chemical that is imperative to your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, and your nervous system regulation. So yes, I do believe that the foods that we are eating cause inflammation, that they cause our nervous system to be dysregulated, and that they are blocking the inhibitors that allow us the natural joy that we create, and stress management, right? That's why they have that saying, shitty food, shitty thoughts. Now, am I telling you not to eat cake? No, I'm not telling you not to go eat cake and have pizza and enjoy the things that you want to.
Wait, is cake
Right? Like, go and have your enjoyment, but also be mindful that can't be like we talk about too much of things, right? Be mindful of what you're putting in your body. Be mindful. Are you prone to seasonal depression disorder? Are you prone to just being more like having those mood swings or having those spaces? Then it's really important to watch what you're eating. What are you eating, and how are you contributing to these chemicals inside of your body that your body can naturally produce itself, should you take care of the vessel, right? And that is honoring the rest, honoring the food that we eat, and actually taking care of the body. People are like, I'm a spiritual being having, a human experience. And while this is true, you are still human in a human body right now. And it is divine by design. And it is intricately put together for the reasons of your evolution and experience here on Earth. So you've got to take care of your body, eat well, be well, and actually rest. Um, Otherwise, all those other pieces aren't going to be accessible. They're not going to matter. They're not going to be consistent. It's not going to feel stable. It's just
And
not.
hydrate, hydrate, hydrate.
Hydrate, and if you can, hydrate with high alkaline water, right? We are alkaline beings, and when we have good mineralized water, our water systems have been poisoned, a lot of the way. And I'm not getting into the conspiracies or any pieces like that. We have chlorine that treats our water. We have things that go into our water that aren't good for it, and or good for your body, and the minerals have mostly been stripped that are natural to your body. So remineralize your body. Those minerals are important to your health, your well-being, and your expansion, regardless of what your disposition is on any of those other pieces.
So you are a facilitator for different types of seminars and different types of when you speak and things like that. So do you have any seminars coming up that people can come, or maybe Zoom calls or something that you've got set up?
Yeah, so I'll be releasing my schedule in terms of online offerings here within the next couple of days. So you can either go to my website, or you can go to my Facebook group to keep in line with that, the Art of Wellbeing. And I can give you all of those pieces in the show notes to type in later or send out. Otherwise, I'm presenting at Banff Wellness Retreats. However, those are sold out, but there is still tickets left to come and see the Wild Roses Festival in Alberta, if you're in Alberta, and it's an all women's festival. And it's really beautiful. And then the other space I'll be presenting at is Vibes in August. So the Wild Roses is in July, and then the Vibes is in August. Banff Wellness Retreats will be holding another seminar in the fall. So tickets go on sale for that, I believe, in a few weeks, but they sell out very quickly. So if you're into coming to Banff, that's probably where I go.
I love Banff. I love Banff. One of my favorite places. Yeah. Love
Beautiful.
Banff. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. Now, what's in this book that you are about to have published?
Actually, it is going into more of a systematic, detailed answer about what demystifying the chakras look like and aligning those spaces. So, yeah, I just did a presentation for Blue Talks, Business Life in the Universe, on this system and how to utilize it every day for your optimal vitality and to navigate these experiences of polarity and life, in a way that feels a little bit more tangible, practical, and accessible. And that was really my aim, was to make the system available in a way that people can utilize it and understand it in their day-to-day living, and is a tool for self-awareness as well as to what's happening in their body, what's happening in their mind, what's happening in their spirit. So we could finally find some coherence between all those spaces and utilize those spaces for shadow work and self-love.
Right, right, right. And it just seems to me that needs to be an awareness of love in general, just
Mm.
the total pure streaming love, what that feels like, and how to fill yourself up with it. Um, and I feel like there's really a great need. People want to channel out love or express love to their families, or their parents or their children. Um, and and they don't even have an option that they should turn it inward to themselves. And I find that people like you are such a pioneer for this particular awareness that love is as wonderful, as healing, and as needed on the planet, to start with ourselves, to start with the man in the mirror, quoting Michael Jackson, but just to start there gives you this wonderful feeling that you cannot help but stream it, live streaming pure love all around you. And I feel that that elevates not only your entire chakra system, but it elevates everyone around you. It up levels humanity, Gaia herself. And I feel that not too many people know what that feels like. And, it's kind of like trying to describe what it's like um, flying in an airplane the first time, or hiking up to a mountain and seeing a wonderful panoramic view of someone who perhaps has just been a flatlander all their life. It's very difficult to describe. When you see someone who is streaming, streaming a capacity of love, um, they send out different colors. And I was wondering if you see that at all when you look at people.
I don't always know. I just, I'm definitely, it shows up in different ways for me. My intuitive gifts show up very differently. For me, it shows like people are just glowing, they're glowing. And it literally looks like a glow to me, right? Like it's just this shiny sort of goldeny glow that people are giving off. And
Yeah.
I see like it's almost like a static, like it's very, I don't, I've always seen like a static in the air, and I don't really know how to describe that very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the energy around them, it just moves differently. It's very, very alive and very, very like big.
Right, right. And being a feng shui consultant, we take it to your sacred space has chakras as well, and energy centers as well, that are tuned to specific frequencies and colors, and it's interesting, as above, so below, but as within, so without. So there are no boundaries when you get into really discovering how wonderful energy is, and how it flows and how it goes. And it's just something that when you learn to direct that energy and you are aware of it, you have this, I want to say, you have not only trust in the universe, but you have a sense of control that everybody wants. You have that sense of, oh wow, I can actually focus. I can actually stream my thoughts, and I can actually align my centers, and I can actually do this. And I feel as though people have more of a sense of control, because a lot of people who are sad or disconnected or whatever, they're freaked out because they're losing control. And when you make the awareness appear to them that you have control, and let's show you how to do that, and being aware of what they're working with, like you're doing with the chakras. I just think that's just fabulous. It's such good work. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I just
cool, so just play with it. Play with it and see what it does.
Ivy
Yeah.
says, thank you both so much. And Miss Sheila's in the chat room. She says, that's what it's all about, love. And Mr. Bill says, I'm happy go lucky. Okay, we've got a lot of people. Thank you so much for everybody being in the chat room. What is your website, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's www.root and reboot. So root as in the plant root, ROOT, and reboot as in rebooting the system.com. So www.rootandreboot.com. Or you can join my Facebook group, which is called The Art of Well-Being, ART, Well-Being.
Art of well-being. I'm going to put that in the chat as well, so that they can get on that too, and get together with your group. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, Jay. Thank you so much for coming on board this evening. And I was just wondering if there's anything that you would like to tell our followers to go forward in the future. What would it be?
Hmm, I would say that right now, just the way that we're stabilizing into all these new frequencies, if there's one thing that I can offer, it would be to scoop up all of those pieces of yourself that have ever felt unloved and tell them exactly what it is that they need to hear to feel loved so that they can move forward with you in grace and move forward with you in love, and fully embodied into who you are. And the second thing that I would leave you with is that in the topic of you are an experience, don't rob people of the experience of you, because when you don't show up authentically and you don't show up in the space of your truth and your alignment and sharing that medicine, you are robbing yourself and you are really robbing the rest of this world of the experience that is you.
Fabulous. More you, more you. Give us more you. That's a t-shirt I'm gonna have, gonna have done. More you. Put it out there. Do it. All right. Thank you so much, Jade. What a pleasure you are, and for enlightening us all and demystifying the chakras. Thank you so much for coming along with us. And if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm Kimla Lowe, and you can reach me at kimlalowe.com for any type of sessions and packages that you feel that you need. And I'm so looking forward to spending time with you and any insights that I can give you on your chart, your timeline, and exactly what's going to be coming up in period 9 facing us in our Chinese astrology as well. Thank you so much. And until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Jade.
Thank you.